Hey guys, welcome to the fourth episode of the Work Awesome podcast. Today we're talking about negotiating salary and compensation. This conversation really took a turn down the government contracting path, so if you are in the government contracting world, awesome. If not, this episode still has a lot of great information for you, so definitely give it a listen. This week, we're starting something new with our social media pages. For the first 3 weeks, I posted all of the content on my personal pages on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Starting this week, we're going to be posting on official Work Awesome podcast pages, so definitely get on those social media platforms, search for Work Awesome Podcasts, and follow us on the different social media sites. This week, we'll be doing a giveaway on Instagram, so definitely follow that page, if any of them, so that you can get updates on when that giveaway goes live. We are going to be giving away a pair of Apple AirPods. I have a pair myself and I absolutely love them. That's why I wanted this to be the first giveaway that we do. In the future, we'll probably be doing more giveaways, maybe some Galaxy Pods or some other type of giveaways, a webcam if they ever come back in stock at all the electronic stores. But definitely give us a follow so that you can stay up to date on when that giveaway goes live and details on how you can potentially win some new Apple AirPods. Thank you guys for watching this episode, and I will see you on the other side. All right, welcome to the Work Awesome podcast. This is the fourth episode, How to Negotiate Salary. As always, we're going to start off with an icebreaker. So the icebreaker question for this week is, what's your number one tip for combating distractions when working from home?
Ooh, number one tip. I think my number one tip is to kind of make sure that when I'm starting my work day, I have what I think I need so that I'm not like, oh, I'm thirsty, I got to go get something to drink. So that I'm, kind of starting out with what I think I'm going to need for the day, and having a set place to work where I don't have to set up a new space every day. I have a room that I can go in. I can shut the door if I want. I have a nice view of the window, so that makes it a little bit more pleasant to sit there. But the big thing is to make sure that I have what I need so that I'm not, kind of leaving that space regularly, and that I have a space that I'm comfortable working, so that I can really focus on getting what I need done.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely dedicated space. Mm-hmm. Same, this is the space that my brain knows when I go in there, I'm working. Like when you walk in your bedroom, you see your bed,
sleeping.
You go to sleep. Like that's the calm place. This is the workplace. And same, so, not getting distracted is one piece of it, but also I think it's important to not completely dive in either, and to set a timer for yourself that, hey, it's lunchtime, or hey, this is when you normally go get a cup of coffee or something like that. Because you can definitely fall down the rabbit hole there and never, ever, ever leave that dedicated space because you are in your home.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's like literally physically removing anything that's distracting. So like I like playing video games as a guy. I literally have to take my PlayStation or Xbox or whatever I have to my girlfriend's house because she lives separately from me. And those now live there because obviously I'm not there during the workday. I'm at my personal house. So like literally taking the things that distract me out of my area or my office space is what I've found to work for me. So before we get any further, I think I forgot to introduce everybody. I'm Ian, the host. We have Sarah, who is Avian's recruiter, and we have Laura, one of Avian's contract managers, on today. The episode, like I said before, is how to negotiate salary. Money is a hard topic to talk about, especially if you don't know, you can talk about it. In this episode, we're talking about ways to negotiate salary and key factors to take into account before handing over your big number. As I was doing some research for this episode, I found a couple cool statistics that Forbes posted. They say that in your career lifespan, you could be leaving between $1 million and $1.5 million on the table by not negotiating your salary. And they also say that only 29% of job seekers negotiated their salary at their current or most recent jobs. So that's a really low percentage of people that negotiated their salary. Any thoughts on either of those two statistics?
So I think that that's really very interesting, and I guess I would say what I would want to know what they meant by negotiate, because pretty much I think in our environment, once we are getting to the point where we're sending in an offer letter, we've already talked about salary so many times that I don't know that those discussions would count as negotiation, because when I see an application come through, it's very helpful for me when people include in the application, because we do ask that as a question, what their salary request is. Because if I can't afford to hire you, then really we're wasting all of our time. And when we are hiring someone at Avian, we're involving a whole team of people. We have our contract managers like Laura, who are doing a pretty significant dive into the contract to make sure that those candidates are meeting the qualifications of the contract and making sure that that contract can support the salary. We have the hiring managers, we have the HR team, we have the recruiting team. So we don't want to waste our team's time or the candidate's time. It's not that we don't think that that candidate is worth what they're asking for. That has nothing to do with it. It's that we have limits as to what we can pay. So when I have a position, like for example, if Laura has a position on her contract that needs to be filled, one of the first questions that I'm going to ask the hiring manager and Laura is, what can we afford on this contract? What can this contract pay? And if that number comes out, much lower than what a candidate is asking for, then I'm not going to bring the candidate in, because I'm hopefully we'll be able to find another position down the line that would more match their salary set or their salary request if their qualifications meet that salary threshold. But so I would say that that's an interesting statistic, but I would question as to what they meant by negotiation, because I think the whole process we should be talking about that. I don't think that salary should be an off the table topic. People go to work. Hopefully they enjoy their job, but part of that is getting paid. Yep. A big part of their job is their compensation package to include salary and benefits. So that's kind of what I would say. And Laura, what are your thoughts on that as a contract manager?
So I do definitely agree there. There are certain thresholds that we're required to stay within for a contract that have been pre-negotiated with the government. They'll say the most you can charge for this particular position is this. So if we've got a candidate that doesn't fit within that threshold, then we really can't make an offer there. But if we do have a candidate that fits within that threshold, there's also ways where you can negotiate things that are not just a dollar figure. Mm-hmm. Maybe we could get you some extra leave. Maybe we could talk about doing a signing bonus. Maybe we could talk about doing things like that. Those are not things that are off the table completely, but those are definitely very company to company specific items that all factor into pay. And sometimes people don't really realize, I left this company and I had 4 weeks of leave and I'm going to this one, but they'll give me 6 weeks. Well, maybe my salary is the same, but if you multiply those extra 2 weeks times whatever your hourly rate is, you've just gotten a significant bump in pay.
Yeah. And I would say also work-life balance as well. Mm-hmm. An extra 2 weeks is a huge difference. And I think that's a really good point, Laura. And I think that when you're looking at a position and a career change, there's more than just that salary that should be looked at, but that salary should be out. That information should be out there right away. Let's not waste time. The other thing is all companies have to look at pay equity. So there are salary bands that they need to stay within so that they're paying their employees equitably. So there's that as well. I mean, there are several factors that come into that. So it's definitely something that should be part of the conversation very early in the hiring process.
Yeah, definitely. And for Avian specifically, we do have obviously contract work with the government, but we also have the corporate side where we do have a little bit more flexibility. But it's a little bit different types of support that we do on the corporate side rather than the contract side.
But we do have to stay within our salary bands so that we're making sure that we're keeping the pay equity part of the equation.
Yeah.
So we do have that. And we also look into what's the national average? What's the average in our area? You know, are we going to be paying somebody something way out of our scope? Or, you know, really what makes sense for that particular position, for that skill set, for that level of education, for what you're going to be doing. There's so many factors that go into that whole hiring process. And all of those factors that we consider as an employer are also things that candidates need to be considering as an employee. You know, how can I push myself forward and make myself more marketable, more attractive to an employer by stating all of these different things? And you want to really do that up front so that you're not having to do this negotiating back and forth little dance, because it does get really awkward whenever you start talking about money with anybody. But it's something that we have to do because this is our livelihood. But it's just, you know, it's considered impolite to discuss money.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And I would suggest also, you know, you kind of have that number on the table that you're thinking of, but also ask what the benefit package is when you're being brought in for the interview, because as Laura mentioned earlier with the PTO or the paid time off, there could be benefits that the company offers that are a huge savings to you based on the compensation that you're getting with your current company that really make a huge difference. So maybe that salary is the same or, you know, not too different, but the PTO, the health benefits could be more affordable, or provide, you know, greater coverage, or there can be other benefits that the company offers that are unique that really would fit your lifestyle and help your family out.
So I think we touched on this a little bit, or Sarah did at least. If say someone comes in, an interviewee comes in, a candidate, and is looking for a very specific number, but it's just something you can't match, what happens at that point in time? Like, it's not just like cold turkey, we're done with you. There's probably some back and forth before then.
So actually, to be honest with you, I know what we can afford basically when I'm reaching out to candidates. So that person probably would not have been brought in for an interview.
Gotcha.
And that's important to note too. If that number has changed for the candidate, then that needs to be communicated to the hiring team as well, because it is really important that we're that we're following the right process and that we're not bringing people in and getting frustrated. It's a very, as Laura said, it can be very sensitive, but it's part of the job. So it should be something that the whole team and the candidate are comfortable discussing.
Right. So go ahead.
Sorry, understanding that it's something that we talk about every single day.
Yep.
Our lives revolve around salary, rates, hourly rates, all of those things. So maybe it feels impolite or it feels weird or it feels a little dirty to talk about it, but it's okay. That's what our positions are here for. That's what we're used to. Everybody's done it. Everybody feels the same way. It's okay to feel comfortable coming in and talking about that with your hiring managers.
Right. It sounds like what you're both saying is that there's a lot of transparency even during the hiring process with the candidate to make sure that they have all the information that they need to make a informed decision about switching careers or finding a new job with us.
Absolutely.
So we're talking about a little bit about taking negotiations or salary personal. How do you keep it strictly business rather than kind of taking it as a personal, not attack, but I guess an attack would be an appropriate word for that.
So do you mean from the candidate side?
We can look at it from both sides. So
okay. Go
ahead.
So I think I could jump in here.
Yes, that'd be great.
Looking at it from a contract side, as a contracts manager, I have a very specific set of skills that a candidate has to have in writing in the contract that we've signed with the government or any other entity. You must have X number years of experience, Y number of, must have a degree in this. Mm-hmm. You must have done this. And here, when you check all of those boxes, you fit into this specific labor category. And at that specific labor category, we can pay up to this hourly rate. So that's all in black and white. It's not something that we can change or dance around. That's our max. That's our limit.
Really?
So they're, understanding that if you meet everything and your number is still above what the government has established for us, that's nothing personal at all. That's just something that we can't do because we won't get paid as a company, so we can't in turn pay you.
Right.
You're taking a loss there.
Yeah. So it's definitely never for government contracting. At least it's not personal. It's that we have to meet these very specific standards or specifications. Mm-hmm. And if you're asking for more than that, then like Sarah and Laura have mentioned, maybe look at our benefits package because that is also part of the total compensation that we offer.
So another important part there is, let's say we do have a rate that's, I'm just going to throw out numbers. Let's say it's $100 an hour mm-hmm. that they're allowing on this particular contract for an engineer. If you go to take another job with another contract, and you've been on this high-paid contract here, we may have just done you a disservice by kind of outpricing you. If you are totally topped out, you're never going to be able to move on and move up.
Right.
And not to say that you should take lower pay because we're doing you a service because then you can get higher pay elsewhere. But there are certain things where that's where the market research really comes into play for folks like Sarah and other hiring managers, where we need to understand what everybody else is being paid, what's the national average, what's the local average here for that type of work in this position, so that you are able to move around and know that you're doing, that it's equitable across everything.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And that also speaks to what I was talking about earlier with pay equity. So, you could be in a position. So maybe we need a position that requires, as Laura said, a specific degree, a specific amount of years of experience, and you have double that in experience, and maybe you have a master's or some other qualification that makes you overqualified for that position. We can't pay you for that overqualification because the person that we need in that position, the contract is specifying the requirements for that position, and that's what we can pay for. Mm-hmm.
So let's say we make it past this point of negotiation or to the point of everyone knows their expectations.
Sure.
How much time should a candidate take to think about an offer? There's some people that say 24 hours. There's some people that say 72. If it's longer than 72 hours, what is the kind of standard thing to do there?
So that's a great question. And I think that can vary a little bit. Hopefully by the time we've sent out an offer, we've really convinced you that this is going to be a great fit for both parties, for the company and for the candidate. And that the work is going to be satisfying and the compensation is going to be fair. So I think that sometimes it depends on the time of week that the offer letter is coming out. My least favorite day to send out an offer letter is Friday, especially Friday afternoon. And typically I'll actually give candidates my contact information over the weekend because I know we all understand that making a career decision is huge, and it's a big decision, and there can be more than just the candidate involved in making that decision. So if there are questions or concerns, I don't really want candidates to have to wait until Monday to get those questions or concerns answered. And I certainly think that it's fair to have a couple more days if it's going to be over a weekend From a recruiting standpoint, I don't know that I'm the best person to ask that, because I'm going to say 15 minutes.
15.
That's how long you have to make your decision, because we get really excited here when we send our offer letters out. We're so excited because we feel like, we have found someone who's going to be really happy in a position that we think is, adding value to the government, or to the company. So we're super excited, and we want you to be excited too. But if you need a little bit of time to kind of look at everything together, then, take a little bit of time. If we give you, there's typically, for us at least, we give them a return date, a time that we ask for that letter to be returned. If you need more time, you can certainly reach out and ask, but it might be that we have another candidate that we would like to reach out to if you don't take the position. So it's considerate to not take too long. That's what I would say.
Right.
But we also don't want you to make a rush decision and regret it later.
Absolutely.
Because we want what's best for our candidates too.
Yeah.
And when we're sending an offer letter out, we're kind of hoping that everything's been renegotiated, and that the offer letter is kind of like the formality at the end, wrapping it up with a bow to say, here's all the things that we talked about in writing so that you have them for your records. And please sign immediately and send it back, because we love you and we want you to stay.
Right. Yeah. I think we sent one out this afternoon that got back to us within like an hour, which is crazy. Yeah. So
and I think that Laura's point is what we were talking, what I was questioning about with the negotiation. That negotiation, needs to take place before the offer letter goes out.
Right.
So it shouldn't really be a surprise when the offer letter comes out what is in the offer letter.
Yeah.
That's probably just a confirmation.
I imagine, not ever working really outside of the government sector, I imagine that in other sectors you can have an offer and kind of then go back and negotiate because of maybe a second offer that you have. So you can kind of put those two offers against each other. Not really an option for us because, as we've already mentioned a lot of times, we really can't negotiate salary in the type of work that we do. If you have a offer from another government contractor, they probably aren't going to get a better one from us, unfortunately.
So we do every now and again have someone who has gone looking because they're interested and maybe they feel like where they are isn't the right fit, or maybe they want to make a jump and they come get an offer, and then they will take that offer back to their company and get a counter. Every now and then that happens, and we'll do our best here to try to see if we can come up. But statistically, in all of the articles that I've read, when you have someone who does a counter offer, they don't tend to stay.
Right.
Yes.
Because you've kind of already broken that trust with that candidate that, you could have given me $5,000 or $10,000 more from the beginning. Why didn't you just do that? Why didn't you hand that out to me? So we really, here at Avian anyway, try to make the best offer that we can from the very beginning so that we're not playing that game back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a whole team involved, and it's, we want to put someone in a position where they feel fairly compensated so that they are happy in their job. They're happy with Avian. They're happy being part of the Avian team, and they're not needing to look for another job because they know they have it well. So we don't want to, pay someone less than what we could because of that.
Yeah. And I think it all kind of goes back to this sappy mantra that we have of we take care of each other. And that even begins before we hire whoever we're trying to hire. So I think we can wrap it up there. So thank you both for joining me today in this podcast. Our next podcast, I believe, focuses on building a personal brand. So definitely, if you're interested in gaining more LinkedIn followers or and learning about how to build your online presence, these next few episodes are going to be for you. Again, thank you both for joining me, and I will see everybody next time.
Thanks, Ian.
So what do you guys think? This episode had a lot of great information about negotiating compensation and salary. It is very focused on the government contract world, and in the future we may circle back around and talk more generally about negotiating salary, but because of the type of work that our company does, it just made sense that this conversation went that way. If you're not following Work Awesome Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, hit that follow, hit that subscribe, stay up to date with all the great information that we're passing. Also, the giveaway that'll be coming up this week, we'll be giving away a pair of Apple AirPods. If you want to be part of that giveaway, follow us on Instagram so that you can stay up to date and get instructions on how to win those AirPods. Thank you guys again, and I'll see you next time. The Work Awesome Podcast is brought to you by Avian. Avian is a 49% employee-owned company founded by retired U.S. Navy test pilots who believe passion and talent are the right traits to get the job done. Avian operates in a culture that thrives on innovation, creativity, and the entrepreneurial spirit. Instead of offering services through mere business transactions, Avian is redefining the government services industry by creating meaningful experiences and connecting talented people with important work. The passion that Avian's employees have for its work builds better partnerships for the future, and Avian's unique talents create real solutions. At Avian, we move fast, take risks, and don't settle for the status quo. To learn more, visit Avian's website at avian.com. That's AVIAN.com.